You ever wonder why your demos create more confusion instead of excitement? Now, this one is a isolated problem because when you think about demos, traditionally that's associated with a software product or something where you can pull up on your computer and say, here's how it works. So for some of you, this might be less relevant, but I do think there's some underlying principles here that even if you're not kind of running a sales cycle that depends on a software demo, some of these principles apply to you as well. So the idea is when you're doing a demo, it is a form of proof because the person is starting to kind of understand what you guys do and they want to see it, right? They want to have you take it for a test drive and give them a feel for what the experience would be for them or their people. And that's why you do a software demo. The challenge with the demo, though, is there tends to be two extremes that people go to. So if you were to think about kind of a range, right? On one side of the range, you have over here scripted. And so from a scripted perspective, this is you create the demo and you kind of know, all right, I'm going to go to this screen, I'm going to say this, then I'm going to go to this screen and say this, etc. And so it's very regimented. A good example of this is sometimes when I go to foreign cities, we like to do the hop on and hop off bus, especially if you have no idea, what you're doing or if you've never been there. And so the idea with the bus is you get on and there's kind of a running narrative and they'll tell you what's going on. You can leave the bus at a stop, do whatever you want, get on a different bus and literally just pick up the exact same show and you didn't miss anything. And so in that environment, that's awesome. But think about that in the sales environment, right? So if your demo, if your talk track is just so scripted and nothing varies, nothing changes, no matter what the prospect does or reveals, that can be super frustrating, right? Because it just becomes this canned show. And from a prospect perspective, they like to think they're special. They like to think they're unique. And when you're hitting them with a canned show, it just makes them feel like, okay, this is good in general, but really, does this apply to me? And what about the stuff that I've revealed? Like, none of that is kind of showing in the demo. You're just giving me a canned show. Now, the opposite extreme is chaos, right? And so chaos is you get someone to run a demo and they feel real confident, right? So they know every screen and they can do whatever. And it is a wild ride, right? It's a bit like off-roading in a jungle, or if you go to a foreign kind of city with a friend and they're like, hey, let's just explore and see what the day reveals. No maps, no nothing. So maybe it's going to be awesome. Maybe it's not, right? Maybe you're going to miss every single cool thing in that city. And so chaos, while maybe a little more engaging because you have no idea if they're going to crash the bus or what, that can be problematic as well because buyers have limited time, they have limited attention. And when it feels like you are bouncing around and literally just searching for anything that might interest them, that doesn't kind of convey expertise. It just kind of conveys desperation because if I jump around enough, if I show enough screens, hopefully something is going to stick. Hopefully something's going to resonate. So both of those are problematic, even though relatively common. So obviously what you're targeting is the center. And in the center, you want some kind of balance, right? Because it's okay to have a little bit of scripting that says, hey, when I'm on this screen, I want to be able to kind of show when you have this problem, here's how you do it. It's as simple as click this button, right? So you can have these kind of mini scenes that do have a bit of a script so you can kind of get through it in the most efficient manner and also the clear way, but you don't want it to be overly scripted, right? And so if we bring in a little bit of chaos, what that is doing is allowing you to be able to pivot the demo based on the needs. So if the person is really interested in dashboards and reporting, and that's usually not till the later half of the demo, go ahead and pull that up, right? So you have flexibility to be able to adjust based on your audience. And so that's why being able to get this proper balance in here, it makes you so much more effective when you're trying to demonstrate your capabilities in a way that's going to resonate with your audience. And this might seem obvious, but this is very, very difficult. I've just seen so many companies struggle with it. And so just as you're thinking about how you demo, think about kind of which side you tend to lean on and how can you bring in a little bit more, right? So if you're over here, how can you bring in a little more rigor? If you're over here, how can you bring in a little more flexibility? And so the closer you can get to the center, the more your prospects are going to appreciate it.